What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Dig It podcast. I'm your host, Drew Walsh, and today, this is a milestone for Dig It podcast. We got our first big league action in the house. Adam Kennedy is here with us for the Dig It podcast. We're super pumped. We got a ton of cool questions from our listeners that they're excited to hear from you. And just from the conversation previous to this podcast, I'm pumped. We have not had a major league player on the podcast. So, and now you're out of the game and you're coaching, you're paying it forward. So without further ado, Adam Kennedy, welcome to the Dig It podcast.
Drew, thanks, man. Been big fan of yours, watching all your workouts, and I'll just be upfront with you. I steal plenty of your drills and your action with the boys. So just know that it's being put to good work up here in Orange County.
I freaking love to hear that. That fires me up. Coach, I'm sure you've never got, so a common question we got, let's just kick it off. I'm sure you never got asked, how did it feel to hit 3 home runs in the ALCS in 2002? I'm sure you've never been asked that before, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it. Talk to me about the vibes there, because I watched the video yesterday getting ready, and I got goosebumps.
Yeah, no, the whole playoff run for us was really fun. You know, we had a great team that year, a really close team that we had kind of formed.
3 years. So it finally came to fruition, and then just kind of have a big day to be able to catapult us into the World Series was pretty fun for me.
The first one was a wall scraper, little top spin hooked, right? The second one, deep right center. And then the third one, Jose Santana left the absolute hanger over the top, and you just sent that thing to the moon. He didn't do that very often.
Jose, no. So I was struggling a little bit going into that game. Even at BP, kind of really not at my best. And I just was like, man, I'm gonna swing at the first pitch today. Leading off, boom, let one eat real quick, homer, and then you just kind of from there you just kind of one bleeder, one homer, it doesn't matter, right? One hit kind of gets you going a little bit and changes your confidence.
Isn't that amazing? Like, that point there is so true. Like, when you let off, and that's there's so much to learn from that statement right there for even youth hitters as well. As like, there's so much confidence in, like, when you get a bunt hit and this pressure kind of off your shoulders to then you kind of get into your flow state. Is there a way to find that without having to have that? Like, what type of mindset would you need to, like, kind of stay somewhat grounded and not get too low or too high? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the value of a broken bat single, a bunt hit is so far lost, because then we just start pounding our head against the wall, trying to get a big hit, going for the big swing when it does not matter what kind of hit it is, that ground ball you're diving into first base for a hit. I always laugh. People don't dive into first base, and I'm like, I will do anything for a hit. So you could say that from the fifth row, but I'm out here, just doesn't matter what kind of hit I get. I'm diving for a hit. I'm anything. The value of a hit, especially in the big leagues, in the minor leagues, little league, doesn't matter. It is just undervalued and does so much for us in our psyche, and it doesn't matter.
I love that, Coach. Even, what about the team? You know how sometimes when a skipper gets ejected and then the whole team rallies behind them and you gather this momentum, this collectedness. That's the same thing. Like, if I see my teammate hustling down the line, giving a hard 90 and slides, I'm fired up. Like, even if he's safe or out, I think that's a momentous play right there. And again, hits are hard. Like, if you're in the fifth row, you're there for a reason. Like, stay over there, eat your popcorn. I'm sliding. So that was awesome, man. Like, that came up, and that's obviously just like one of the pinnacles of your career, your 14-year MLB career. And it's got moments like that, right? Like, people think like that was just, regular stuff. And you put your whole life into that moment, right? Like that was, I don't know how old you were there, Adam, but there's so much suffering, blood, sweat, and tears that went into that game, and it was worth it for moments like that.
No,
I can only
without a doubt.
imagine.
It's a it's a lonely road at times, minor league times, and just workouts. It can be long and treacherous and lonely at times. So when those big moments do come, they're priceless, and especially if you have family there to enjoy it, or a team that's as close as we were. That's where it really all kind of comes to a head, and you really have that peak moment as an athlete that you're kind of searching for always.
That's amazing. And was that year, that team different? Was there something about that like that group where you just felt like the energy was different
Oh, sure.
early on?
Oh no, definitely. I mean, it kind of been like a 3-year team kind of in the making. Associate taking over in 2000. The core of the team had been, we're all Angel draft guys, so developed there. But as great as Gloss was, Garrett Anderson, Darren Erstead, these guys weren't
Wow.
superstars in the game, really. Like, they were to us, but not, didn't have the New York Jeter, Bernie Williams kind of
Yes.
thought with everybody. So we were just a great team. Loved being with each other. Everybody had their roles, and they were pretty clear. Percival was running the clubhouse, and Erstad was
Troy
kind of
Percival. Yeah, I remember. So
yeah.
I watched the videos and I see like Jared Weaver, right?
Weave wasn't there yet. Weave was
Wasn't
after. No, that was Lackey's rookie year.
John Lackey.
K-Rod his rookie year. So a lot of young boys kind of like hungry and getting kind of ready to make a name for themselves.
It's amazing. And I was watching just the energy in Angel Stadium, like watching you like round the bases. I've been there a few times to watch some games. It was never that electric than it was in that game right there. And that's just different. That's what sports are. It's so special, moments like that. And like I get goosebumps just even thinking about it. It brings back so many memories, and that's amazing. It's great to hear like the core group. Like you were there for one goal, you enjoyed each other. You need that.
Yeah.
2 games.
That team was the epitome of kind of draft and development, and how important that is for these teams nowadays, which has gotten a little lost with analytics, where both are needed kind of, and the teams that aren't valuing that development and the draft are kind of being left behind. Once you put your resources into it, it can happen quick. It's happened quick with Baltimore. The Braves have been great with being consistent with their draft and development. So that is where you have to cut your teeth, and to keep your team consistent. It's got to be behind the scenes with all that.
And that, as a born and raised New Yorker, just thinking about our dynasty, the Yankees, it was all homegrown, and it's pretty tough. It's been a tough 10 years, more than that. Just watching, thinking you can kind of buy these pieces and put it together, plug and play. And now in San Diego, seeing what the Padres last year on paper, who's competing with them, right? But like paper don't play, you know what I mean? So like and you have to be an athlete to have played in group dynamics to know like, yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, there's prolific talent, but ... is it going to translate? And that's the magic. That's like the magic dynamic that I don't know. You can't just, there's no perfect answer for that.
Nope. And everybody's searching for that. And people thought analytics was that potion, that perfect potion, and would fix everything for a minute. And man, I love Moneyball. Don't get me wrong. Great movie.
Great story.
Great story. But I have a young kid that I work with, and he is a big Moneyball fan, as movie wise, and I'm like, but man, they had all-stars all over the field. right? And they use
Yes.
analytics to plug the holes. I think they had 6 or 7 all-stars around the field, and it's
Jeez.
like, that's not because of analytics. Those guys could play baseball. You don't get on the all-star team by being a good analytical player.
That's what I think it is. People just want to like attach it to like something like a fad, and like this is
Sure.
why, because then it gives them comfortability in knowing that if I apply this proven method, I will guarantee my results. I will guarantee success, winning a championship. And again, it just like doesn't happen. There's too much human interaction needed on not just on the field and game management, but just inside that dugout, off the field. Like there's so Moneyball can't teach chemistry.
Sure, sure. It goes a long way. I mean, we went into New York the year we won, and none of us had played in a playoff game. And I remember going to Yankee Speak, and it was electric, and we were like, like, I don't want to say intimidated, but eyes wide open, like, all right, let's go to work. And Bernie hit a big 3-run homer to take the lead in the 8th in game 1, and we played good. And our bullpen was great, but Bernie got us that night, and the place was shaking. We ended up losing, but we were all like, "Oh, that was the best night of our lives." And then we just kind of
Yes.
rolled through, and kind of, the rest is history. But walking in there, that was like, this is what the playoffs is, and we had played so good all year, just like kind of consistently, where when you play, like, every game matters a lot, and you guys are playing for each other. The games don't have highs and lows too much. You just kind of roll out there, and you're ready to play the same you've always been playing.
That's a magical moment when you just have trust in like the guy to the right, left, in front of you on the mound, that you're gonna show up for him, right? And that's where I think those like big peaks and valleys take care of themselves, when it's like, got you, you got me, let's go, let's ride, we're going to war. Those are special moments. I gotta be a little selfish here. As a child growing up in New York City, Derek Jeter was my absolute idol. Like, what are some things that jump out to you just watching him play, or just go about his business, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I would watch his gig from, his warm up stuff, his on deck preparation, just kind of, the control he kind of had with all of his actions, the crowd, his walk to the plate, his walk up music, the whole package. I'm trying to prepare for a game, get ready to play defense, but I got one eye over on him, just because that's part of the fun of it, right?
Yes.
And just watching you knew what he was going to do. He was going to be ready to hit the first pitch, probably going to be somewhere towards me at second, up the middle. So I got to be on my toes, and just kind of a privilege to be on the field with all those guys, and kind of, take a little piece of what they're doing, how they're acting. Try not to be starstruck when they come around second base. Just kind of give them a head nod, and just enjoy being out there with the world's best.
Man, that's so cool to hear. Could we do that just on a way lesser scale? I played college baseball, which was my pinnacle, and I played Joe Panic. I played some like ballers that played on in the big leagues for years, and it's just fun to watch how they went about their business, their warm up, their catch play, how they handle adversity, like striking out or making an error or making a great play. It was fun to watch those guys go about their business, and whatever it is, like obviously they're doing a lot of things right. So why wouldn't you want to kind of check out what they're doing, seeing where you could plug and play some of those skills into your game, and non-tangible skills as well. Adam, can you take us through, your background, man? Obviously, baseball has been a big part of your life. Like, if you could take us through a snapshot of your timeline, and we talked a lot about your pro days, kind of, that was just a tiny little snippet, but I would love to hear you riff on, your journey.
Yeah, man. I was raised by a baseball coach. So from the time I could walk, I was on the baseball field, being bat boy, shagging baseballs in the outfield. Come away with black eyes and bruised because I was trying to play with the big boys and shouldn't have been out there. So just kind of raised on the field, learning so the game kind of the baseball part of it has always come easy to me, right? Just second nature. Don't have to think too much out there. So privileged to be able to learn that way. Really enjoyed basketball growing up. Ended up playing at a high level basketball school in high school, and then was able to get a baseball scholarship to Cal State Northridge, and end up having a really good career there. And drafted by St. Louis. Quick little stint through the minors, and then off to the big leagues.
Did you
Now
catch some time with
along.
Albert?
Now just trying to pass it all along, right?
Kids are so lucky. I don't think, I'm sure you have kids who appreciate it, but like they're just so lucky to have someone who's seen it from the top view looking down. And you're just like chatting with you before the podcast, you're still learning stuff. Like that's the beauty of it. But like you've seen the game from such a high level that you have great context for these kids, and also just advice, right? Like you see the game at a way slower pace to help these kids gain insight and perspective, to help them deal with the many failures, beautiful failures of this game. That's awesome. Take us right now. You kind of said you started coaching as soon as you got done playing. How is that was that listen, when I got done playing college, I started coaching, first couple of years, I was like, damn, coach, like I have my jersey on, coach just put me back in. How is that for you, that transition?
Yeah, no, correct. I don't think I was equipped with the correct skills to kind of correctly pass along the information that I had gained over the years to my players. But of course not, right? We're all learning. So over this 10-year journey of kind of learning all that, it has just been a tremendous amount of fun, meeting a ton of players, meeting families, and kind of learning how to make each kid who's all different. They're all different from each other. How do I get it across to each kid? And when do I lose my shit and when do I not? All this stuff that I'm still learning. And my son, he's great. He teaches me a lot. He'll be, he'll let me know when I'm going too hard on the boys or him, or, and I appreciate that. And I definitely keep an eye open for that, because I do want them to continue to all love the game. And I don't want to be ever pushing them in a negative light towards what we're doing out here.
That's such great humility right there, to kind of be like, okay, like not everyone's the same. I don't know how to communicate to everybody. I need to get better at it, because the game's the same, but the way it's perceived is different. So I need to communicate it as such. And it's nice to have a little, informant to be like, Dad, like that was not it today out there. And you're like, damn, like, all right, another game tomorrow. We'll be back. Like I'll figure it out. That's awesome. And there's so much, like, I guess my perspective on like being hard on kids is like there's so many right now. A big thing what I'm seeing, like with all these participation awards, I'm just like, yikes. Like, is this that necessary that every kid wins? Because there's one winner, right? Like there's a runner-up, respect. But losing sucked. But it ain't bad. It's feedback from the game telling the student, like, you didn't bring it today. You weren't good enough today. That's fine. Do something about it. And I just think parents are so like afraid to let their kid hurt. And that hurt is tremendous for them to build callous and maybe build motivation, determination to work harder to come back the next day. What are some of your thoughts on, demanding or having standards for your kids and holding them accountable to it?
No, without a doubt. So our team, our 11-year-old team is fairly high level. Right, we're not the best, but we're pretty good. So we have the challenge of, if I have to be very selective in where what tournaments I put us in, because we can roll through a random tournament on a weekend and not even sweat. That's not teaching the boys anything, right? So like I find that week of practice, I don't get their attention as much, right? Like they think everything's great, right? We didn't have any hiccups this weekend, so I find those weeks of practice are a lot tougher. So then I have to be selective on pushing our limits of higher competition, maybe even a higher age group, and then we do go get it handed to us a little bit, which is tough in the moment, right? And like you said, Drew, the parents don't love it, but because little Johnny didn't go 4 for 4 today, so they have a little bit tougher time. But at practice that week, I have a whole new line of information that we need to work on, and it makes practices for me a lot easier, and I do get their attention a little bit more. So I'm always walking that fine line.
Wow, that's such a great perspective that you don't hear that often, about like strategically figuring out where you want to place your kids, and then understanding like, all right, these kids think they're hot stuff. Like, I know what type of practice it might be. I'm gonna like, no, I'm not expecting it to be, but my radar's out that these kids might be a little bit going through the motions because they think they're on top of the top, which is at that moment kind of they learn quick like you have to work harder, right? Because everyone's like, oh, who's that? Like, I want to beat that team. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's a really cool perspective. And that just, again, comes from your experience to understand, like, it's bigger than the game. I'm seeing the big picture here, and I'm using the game to teach these kids how to navigate forward through their journey. Where do you think the state of youth sports is at? That's a loaded question. Sorry about that. But, like, where do you see, like, kid and SoCal, you're born and raised SoCal, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm born and raised in New York City, so I had no other choice but to, have different seasons, right? Like I played basketball. I played multiple sports growing up, played in basketball in high school, and then I always knew baseball was my North Star. But what do you got on that? Like playing all year round, like tournaments out the wazoo?
Yeah, no, it's a challenge, and once again, our team is kind of in that realm of, if you want to compete against the best, you're kind of in a year-round situation. So I have to keep an eye on that as well.
Yes.
I'm very lucky that all of our kids are multi-sport athletes. So that's not an issue. It's just an issue of, how much do we need to let them go away for a while and then try to get them back together so we can kind of get a little bit more, because we want to play competitively, right? So I got to get them back together so we can get our skills going quickly enough to get into the bigger events and compete. So yes, once again, always walking that fine line. But all of our players are multi-sport guys. We typically have, on our team, we have one group that plays a football team together, and then another group that plays a football team together, kind of based on where everybody lives. So they all do that kind of with half the team, which is really fun for me. I love that they're doing the football stuff, and then the rest of the guys either like a little soccer, a little basketball, some extra training, something like that.
I love that. And we had a podcast just a few days ago. Someone talked about like, hey, should they play multiple sport? And I won't go down that rabbit hole, but I did say like it's cool to see teams, if you have a group and they all enjoy each other because they played for X amount of years, to just take that team, keep the nucleus, go to a different sport, and it just helps your team grow. Because a kid who's maybe not as skilled in baseball is better in football and gets to take a leadership role, and then it comes back into baseball and he's just a better teammate for it. And that goes both ways.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite part about it, right? Each sport kind of brings out a different side in that kid, baseball stuff, because it's limited in what we can do, and how we can control a game. It's just so limited. In basketball, you can go control the game. You know, in football, you can be a little bit more physical. You can be a little bit more competitive. So I love that those sports get that out of the boys, because baseball just it doesn't bring out all of our best attributes on a daily basis.
That's well said right there. What do you think? Let's change focuses more. This, this is primarily infield podcast. You're an absolute stud infielder. What do you got on infield play? Like, if you're just, very general, and then we'll kind of filter down to some more specific things. But like, when you think in infield play, what are some things that pop up in your mind?
Yeah, really kind of position specific. You know, I think that your tools at third base need to be here. I think your skills at shortstop need to be here, and then at second base, um, they need to have certain movements as well. So obviously, from the basics, we all have our standard kind of way to field the ground ball and blah blah
Sure.
blah. You know, and so that's kind of the base of it. From there, you know, I really enjoy diving into the specific movements of each position. And as we get higher levels, you know, the kids kind of, by their ability, get filtered, you know, off a shortstop and into other spots. Uh, Shortstop's obviously the king of the hill. You know, you have to have the athletic ability, the arm, the tool of reading and adjusting. So kind of everything, which is obviously the most fun to watch, and
For sure.
you appreciate the shortstop skill at a high level. Um, Third base, I over time have kind of really appreciated the level of angles you need to work on, drop stepping, letting the ball get super deep, the playing just hockey goalie sometimes, you know, all these things that are happening super quick because getting to you fast. So really the angle at third base has really been my favorite thing over the last couple of years to kind of really dive into. Really, you know, letting the ball kind of get deep behind you on both sides. So I've really enjoyed that. Second base is tough because the kid's probably the least skilled of the infield group. So it may seem the easiest, but you're kind of working uphill, trying to teach maybe a little slower footed kid, lesser skilled kid, some complicated things, which makes it fun as well. So I've really enjoyed kind of the three aspects of the different infield spots and what they need to have on the field, and the skill that they need to be showing me as a coach.
I love that perspective, just like kind of like a skill specific and what they need to bring to the game. When you're out on the circuit at a high level tournament, what are some things that stick out to you? Like, what catches your eye when you see a good infielder?
A couple things. They're in between inning work, right? Is everything kind of clean? Are they having fun with it? Base coverage on throws from the catcher at all the bases, how the guys are you know, straddling the base or coming in front, whatever it may be. I enjoy just keeping an eye on that. And then hop reading, especially at short. Really enjoying watching a skilled kid at shortstop be able to you know, read those hops at a young age, and then kind of just field positioning on relays, backing up, little things like that, that you kind of just look at the field as a whole and see if it
Yes.
looks proper or not. So kind of just those little skill different things. The regular ground ball stuff, I mean, in the game, whatever. The kids are going to make errors. Not like
Yes.
it can be fixed. That's what they go to you for. And that stuff is really fixable. And just we play on these dirt fields that just aren't great sometimes, and they're going to get some bad hops. It's not the end of the world. But the other stuff, the quicker that comes to them, the I feel like the more advanced level they'll be able to play at an easier, you know, at an making it easier for them.
100%. And Coach Trevor Knipe was on the podcast a few episodes ago, and he's with the Angels, and we were just discussing like the routine play is still in style, still cool, still has to be made, and I think a lot of people take it for granted. Like, hey, just take care of the ball at you to your left and to your right. Be really good at that, and it kind of just sets the foundation, builds momentum for you to go get outside off the script and make those quote unquote web gem plays. Just like hitting, right? Like you have to start somewhere, build foundation so you can start to create awareness, adjustability for other lanes. I love that. When I was recruiting in college, it was really fun to watch in between inning, like because they might not get a ground ball, but you're watching pre-pitch, you're watching communication with other infielders, you're watching do they know how to hit their spots on certain relays, like you said, are they taking offensive opportunities on defense to like backdoor somebody, pump fake, are they like do they have a pulse for the game, right? Like do they feel when they communicate to the pitcher? But when you're watching them in between innings and they're getting their ground balls, is it intent? Like I'm not saying they got to throw the ball 95 across the diamond, but are they like kind of like engaging with the ball, the cadence, like working off the dirt, changing up some lanes that maybe like they might have made an error the inning before. Did they go back to it? That stuff's awesome, and the game. That's why I really encourage my athletes to watch the game. Like go watch college softball, baseball. Just go watch. Like just see what it's like at the next level. What they're doing right, how they're moving, communicating. So I think that's super beneficial. There's YouTube. You could do that as well. Now, I did get a question from our viewers. He asked you about the art of turning a double play at second, and you guys get so many freaking touches. It all comes through you guys. So like, there's a lot of pride. Like I played a lot of second base growing up. In college, I played some second base, and it was cool over there to turn that double play. It was like that was your jam. You know what I mean? What are
Well,
some things that like stick out?
so it's a great time to be a middle guy because nobody can touch you. So the fear of getting out of there should be removed. And I think so. Not even so touching on that a little bit. One of my toughest, one of my biggest issues with my young infielders is the rush to get out and get their head like to first base. We all know where first base is. Like it hasn't moved. You're gonna be like, trust that all your work needs to happen here, and we'll get there. So same at second. I don't want to be second base is a little tough because our back is to first a lot. So we kind of want to get out of there and get our movements happening before I need to get secure with the ball, all that good stuff. So with the times being that the runners are irrelevant to you, basically, that confidence should be high that I can just get to the bag quickly. For me, it's just super simple. Get to the bag quick as possible, left foot on the bag, and kind of reading the ball wherever it's taking you. Just not wanting to get to that first base too quickly. We don't want to make that ball over our right shoulder. That's not a bad throw. Make it a bad throw by kind of leaking a little bit too early. So really trusting that if I do things the right way, it'll be quicker than trying to cheat to get to first by making the throw look bad or just kind of a bad bobble. Really trying to make the kids trust that the rush is not the quickness. You know what I mean? All the correct work is the quick way. And then the older we get, we can maybe we can catch up to a runner with a quick turn. But typically, a double play is going to be a double play if I just do everything correctly without speeding it up too fast.
I think that's just a gold perspective for like any skill in baseball. Like you think, sometimes when I'm working with infielders and you see them, just their pocket awareness is off for several reasons, right? Like it could be timing, rhythm, lack of awareness of the glove presentation, but like that's where they throw the ball away. So they're so consumed on the throw And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like you threw the ball away before it hit the glove. Like, what are you talking? So it's like, it's a great insight for them to like, no, like this is why we're really trying to sequence these things, break it down. You control the throw before you even throw it. If you take care of that, same thing hitting. Like if you take care of your like timing, your positions you get into, like that's where good or bad is going to happen. Not you trying to position the ball into the left center gap. Like you can't put the ball in the left center gap. Like it happens with you taking care of what you can control. So again, like same point there. I think that's goal for kids to really control what you can control. You know, control is smooth, smooth is quick. I think, you know, we talk about playing offense and defense. And defense would be like kind of sped up mindset, chaotic, rushing, letting the game speed you up. And that's what I see. Like when I see infielders out of rhythm, out of sync, and they're trying to reach the ball to first base. It's just like, hey, let's get centered again. Let's control what we can versus trying to chase the game. That's awesome. Um, what else I want to touch on with that, coach? Listen, second bit, like you said, get there early. And I think you just got to get there and rep out different balls, different reps, and let your body tell you what you want to do. And the game, get a clock on it if you want. There's so many ways to provide instant feedback to let you know if that you're going down the right path. Um, Overarching things, anything. I think you went in depth on infield. Like we don't got to get into the nitty gritty. I would love to hear a little more like the offensive side, like hitting. Like I know you do a lot of hitting work with your guys. I'd just love to hear some of your thoughts on hitting, if you will.
Yeah, a couple things, you know, and I watch hitters that I don't know, and I try to. Well, I get a lot of feedback from good video, bad video, and I try to provide that to all my hitters, whether it's on my team or a select few that I work with. I think right now in this moment, the biggest thing I'm seeing and I'm trying to feed to my hitters is the angles of the hitter that we need to be at, as far as my front foot kind of going, I guess, towards the opposite arm of the pitcher. If I'm a lefty hitter, I need to have kind of my front side, you know, angled a little bit towards, you know, the right-handed arm. Not all the way to shortstop, might be diving a little bit too much, but at least that sort of angle where I'm staying closed. Problem is nowadays with everybody wanting to hit for power, wanting to, you know, exit velo, everybody thinks that's created by, you know, pulling off the ball. Just so I'm really fighting that habit with the kids. The good thing is that you can pull up almost every single big league hitter, and they're providing a good example of how it should look. So you know, I use pictures, video of big league hitters a lot to just simply provide a fact that you have to be in, right? You have to be in there. Same with throwing. I mean, you can't be flying open all the time. So at this moment, really fighting the boys, getting down on it, and the fact that a pitch thrown to them up and in was probably a mistake. You know, especially righties, right-handed hitters, they get that pitch up and in, and it's like, oh man, and now all their movements kind of want to get out of there. And I'm like, that was a mistake. They didn't mean it. They're 90% of the pitches are going to be away, whether it's a slider or fastball.
Yeah.
We can't hit those pitches. We really have no chance. And as the kids have that aware in their head, even when they're getting out for a minute, they start to realize, I need to be out there, you know, and so at the moment, that's really a big focus for me is getting the kids to buy in on the pitch away. I don't care about the pitch in. Nobody in the big leagues wants to hit the pitch in. No big league hitter loves the pitch in. They learned how to hit it, but they didn't get there by just hitting the pitch in. 99% of them don't want it in. They mastered the pitch away because that's where pitchers throw the ball. Pitching coaches are throwing it in once every freaking 6, 7, 8 pitches. I don't even know if it's that. right? So the more we can, get that point across, master the pitch away, the more we're going to be in control of our body and our at bats and ultimately our success.
And I'm sure, and we're gonna unpack a lot of that, but I'm sure like a lot of listeners would be like scratching their head, like, why wouldn't they want the ball in? And what would your response be like? Because they could hit that well, or it just starts to get them going too quick, or it's 99 on my hands.
We want to be extended, my friend. We want to be free with our arms, right? We want to be free. We don't want to be jammed up. Yes, you could pull up video and Mike Trout will have a home run where he's jammed up. He has short arms and he's an ultra special human being. So that's not our comp, right? Our comps are the majority of the other hitters, not the superstars.
Yes.
And you won't even make the big leagues if you can't handle where the majority of pitches are gonna be. You won't have success in high school if you can't
Right.
handle the pitch away. That's just where the majority of the pitches are. Why if I don't know what the number is. If a pitch is going to come inside once every, I'll give you five. Once every 5 pitches, it's going to come inside. So that's now I have to hit 1,000. Like I have to get close to 1,000 on my pitch that I'm going to swing at just to survive. Like, and that's not possible. So we need
Yes.
to be mastering where the majority, and it's a high majority. It's not even like 60-40. The pitches away are going to be in the 85% to 90% of the time. So we need to master that to make our lives easier. And then as we get older, we can dissect our swing and how I can get better at pitches that I'm not great at.
And I'm assuming that's why you're so, adamant about that front foot. Once it opens up too much, obviously that starts the process of your shoulders, hips going in that direction. Barrel follows, and that just takes away that outer third of the plate that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, and a a a hitting coach that doesn't want to see the truth will break down a big league hitter that does, I don't want to say fly open, but does end up stepping open a tad. But if you look prior to that, every hitter comes to a close. They'll get their closing point quickly, and then because they're mature, they have body control, they've done it a million times, then they can step open a tad
Right.
to create a little bit of power for the inside half. But that's a learned movement, and even though he's stepping open a tad, his hips to begin with are creating a closed movement because they know they need to get to their perfect spot, and now I can adjust an inch or two open and still have a fighting chance.
That's awesome. I love that. And I remember like when I did work with hitters and coached them, it was just like the front foot was never on time, and it was a multitude of issues, right? Like some was just lack of strength awareness, or they were really trying to fight to get that inside pitch. But it's like you're so consumed on 10%, 15% of the pitches. It's like I'm not good at math, man. But like on the other side, there's a lot more work to be done. When you say master the outside pitch, you hear kids like, I can't hit the outside pitch, different swing. It's like, no, it's not. What are some of your thoughts on, if a dad or a younger coach is listening to this, trying to help out hitters, like, where could they start to build success from middle out?
Work literally the set the tee off the plate. And another reason we need to be able to handle the outside stuff is umpires are going to give the pitcher 2 or 3 inches off the plate away. They're not giving it off the plate in, right? So you may get away with taking a few pitches in that they don't call a strike, but you're not going to get away with the outside pitch. They're going to give pitches off at a much higher rate than calling pitches off in. So literally start with tee work, which is the most simplest, just for the simple recognition of our eyes. getting out there. And it happens quick. I'm working with a few of our kids right now, and they've made the adjustment very quickly. Now, do they have moments where they go back, to their pool habit a little bit? Of course, but then they've been really good about getting back out once they realize that wasn't it. I know what I need to do. But man, and this stuff is hard. People
So
want
hard.
the easy. They want to eat. It's not. You're in the wrong sport if you're looking for an
Yes.
easy hit, an easy anything. It's just not easy. These ground balls are not easy. These pitches to square up are not easy. So it shouldn't be easy. Train the things you're really having a tough time with, and over a quickly you can see a good adjustment being made.
I love that. What are some of the overarching themes you give your hitters? Like just overarching, like, hey, get in there and be ready to hit, like stuff like swinging first good pitch. What do you got?
Super simple, right? I mean, I one of the things I try to tell myself, I'm trying to make your life easier, right? I'm not putting any information in your brain that you need to overthink with, that's going to make it tougher than it already is. I've gotten out a million more times than you'll probably ever get out. So don't think that I think this is an easy process. So really trying to give them the confidence of just competing at the plate, putting their best swing off it, never really questioning why they swung at a pitch. I know why you swung at a pitch, because you wanted to get a hit. I know why. I don't need to ask you that. You know what I mean? Your dad doesn't need to ask you why you swung that pitch. We wanted to get a hit. I know. How do we maybe tone it down a little bit, and make a better decision? So really just giving them the confidence to kind of be free at the plate, and then whether it went good or bad, kind of build off of that and work off of that.
Such a great rephrase of it. Like, yes, we didn't want to swing at the ball that was 48 feet in the dirt, right? Like, understood. But within that decision and the execution, like, let's just figure out where in there we could kind of improve upon and then go from there. That's awesome, Coach. Listen, is there any closing words or thoughts that you have on, this is it youth baseball, or just a message to any athlete that you might want to share or experience?
Yeah, man. Both of us being so embedded in teaching these young guys high level skill movements, and we're in a good place, and it's good to meet good baseball people like yourself, Drew, and I always enjoy watching you work with your guys, and like I said, I'll continue to steal a lot of your drills, so keep that in mind when you're out there. But it's great that we're all putting into work for these the young generation, because I guess if we teach them the right things now, we'll be able to watch a better product on TV as these young kids are kind of learning good movements, and be able to watch some good baseball for the rest of our lives.
I'd like that. Maybe a few more Yankee wins along the way. Adam Kennedy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for your time. It's not every day we get to hear in between the years from of MLB vet like yourself, and just an awesome human being. And this won't be the last time we have you on the podcast. Thank you so very much, Adam Kennedy. We will talk to you soon.
You got it, my man.